All right, you sick fucks, strap yourselves in, because today we're diving into the mosh pit of Slayer.
Hell yeah.
We're talking blood, fire, and enough satanic panic to make your grandma shit her rosary. No sugarcoating here, folks. Slayer was the real fucking deal.
Oh, absolutely. These guys weren't just playing metal, they were living it, pushing every boundary, pissing off everyone in their path.
They were like the goddamn poster children for parental advisory explicit content.
Yeah.
But before we get into all that, let's back the fuck up. Where did these metalheads spawn from?
Well, rewind back to 1981, Huntington Park, California. You've got Kerry King and Jeff Hanneman, the guitar duo from Hell, jamming with Dave Lombardo on drums, and Tom Araya, the bassist and vocalist. Just a bunch of high school kids worshiping heavy metal gods like Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, even some Venom thrown in there.
So they were into some heavy shit from the get-go.
Yeah.
But when did they go full-on satanic? Was there like a specific moment, a blood sacrifice, a deal with the devil?
Haha. Not quite. I mean, their early image was all about shock value. Pentagrams, spikes, corpse paint, you name it. They wanted to scare the living shit out of everyone.
Mission accomplished, I'd say. And their live shows, man, pure mayhem. They were notorious for that shit, right?
Yeah.
Like literally drenching themselves in blood.
Oh yeah, the blood came later during the Rain and Blood era, but even their early shows were wild, raw energy, pure aggression.
Pure fucking chaos. But chaos doesn't pay the bills, right? When did they start taking things seriously, recording and all that?
Their big break came in '83. They were playing a show at the Woodstock Club, and Brian Slagle, who was starting Metal Blade Records, was in the audience. He was putting together this compilation series called Metal Massacre.
Metal Massacre, that sounds like a Slayer album title.
Right. So Slagle hears Slayer and basically jizzes his pants. He knew he struck gold. He offered them a spot on Metal Massacre the Third.
And boom, Aggressive Perfector was born. Talk about a statement. That song was a sonic blitzkrieg.
Absolutely. Raw, fast, brutal. It caught everyone's attention. Slagle offered them a record deal with Metal Blade right then and there.
So they're officially a band signed and everything. Time to record that debut album, right? Champagne and Caviar.
Not quite. They had zero budget for the album.
Wait, Slayer was broke. That's kind of hilarious.
Right. Araya had to drain his savings from his respiratory therapist gig. King's dad had to loan them some cash. It was a total DIY situation.
Talk about dedication. So they cobbled together enough cash for this Show No Mercy album. Was it as badass as the title suggests?
Show No Mercy was raw, unpolished, but it was pure Slayer. It became a huge hit in the underground scene, and they started touring California like crazy. Picture this, Araya's beat-up Camaro, hauling all their gear in a U-Haul trailer.
That's the most metal shit I've ever heard. But hold on, didn't Kerry King almost ditch Slayer for Megadeth around this time? What the hell was that about?
Yeah, in '84, King actually played a few shows with Megadeth. Dave Mustaine, Megadeth's frontman, was impressed by King's skills, but it didn't last long. King realized Slayer was his true calling and bailed after 5 gigs.
5 gigs, and he was out of there. That must bruised Mustaine's ego. Did that create some bad blood between the bands?
You could say that. It basically started a feud that lasted for years, added a little spice to the thrash metal scene, I guess.
Little beef, as the kids say.
Yeah.
So after King's Megadeth adventure, Slayer drops the Haunting the Chapel EP. Was this like their descent into even darker territory?
Oh, absolutely. Haunting the Chapel was a step further into the abyss, darker, thrashier. The opening track, Chemical Warfare, became a staple in their live shows. Pure sonic violence.
Love it. They're touring their asses off, releasing music, and basically terrifying everyone. When did they finally get to record another full-length album?
Well, by this point, Show No Mercy had sold over 40,000 copies, so Metal Blade actually gave them a budget for their next record. They brought in producer Ron Fair, and in March of '85, Hell Awaits was unleashed.
Hell Awaits. Now that's a fucking Slayer title. Did they crank up the satanic shit on this one?
Oh, hell yeah. Hell Awaits was even darker, longer songs, more complex. The intro to the title track has this creepy backwards recording that says, "Join us," and then "Welcome back." Chillin', dude.
It's okay, that's pretty badass.
Yeah.
So they're getting heavier, darker, more complex. They were on a roll, but how the hell did they go from this underground DIY band to signing with Def Jam, a hip-hop label? What the actual fuck?
I know, right? Total mindfuck. But after Hell Awaits, they caught the attention of Russell Simmons and Rick Rubin, the masterminds behind Def Jam. They offered Slayer a major label deal, a bigger budget, and a chance to work with one of the best producers in the business.
Def Jam. More money. Rick Rubin.
Ah!
This sounds like a recipe for Slayer to create a goddamn masterpiece. What happened next?
Oh, they created a masterpiece, all right. But their next album, Rain and Blood, was a total game changer. Fast, ferocious, incredibly clear sound, but it also caused a shitstorm of controversy.
Slayer and controversy. I'm shocked. Seriously, though, what the hell happened? Did they finally sacrifice a virgin on stage or something?
Not quite, but close. One of the songs, Angel of Death, was explicitly about the Nazi concentration camps and Joseph Mengelé's experiments. It was graphic, brutal, and pissed a lot of people off.
So, Def Jam's distributor, Columbia Records, basically noped the fuck out. They refused to release it, right?
You got it. They thought it was too extreme. Luckily, Geffen Records stepped in and distributed it instead.
So Rain and Blood almost didn't see the light of day because it was too fucking metal. That's insane.
Had a good...
But did people actually buy it, despite all the controversy?
Oh, yeah. It was their first album to hit the Billboard 200, and it went gold. It's considered one of the heaviest and most influential thrash metal albums ever. They pissed people off, but they also became legends.
That's Slayer for you. Zero fucks given. But wasn't there some drama with Dave Lombardo after Rain and Blood? Did he finally snap from all those blast beats?
Well, he quit after the album. Wasn't making enough money, couldn't afford rent, all that. They brought in Tony Scaglione from Whiplash as a temporary replacement, but it wasn't the same.
It's like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich without the jelly. It just ain't right.
Did they manage to lure Lombardo back?
His wife convinced him to come back, thank God. Everyone was relieved, especially the fans. But then Rick Rubin had this interesting idea.
Rick Rubin, Mr. Zen master producer. What kind of interesting idea could he possibly have for Slayer? I'm almost scared to ask.
He wanted them to record a cover of Iron Butterflies in Agata Davida for the movie Less Than Zero.
You're shitting me. That's like a 17-minute hippie anthem. What the I can't even imagine Slayer playing that. Do they had it?
Oh, they hated it. Hanneman called it a poor representation of Slayer, and King straight up said it was a hunk of shit. But you know what? It got them some radio play. Only Slayer could turn a 17-minute hippie anthem into a controversy and somehow end up on the radio. Unbelievable.
But at least they were back with Lombardo. So what was next? Did they keep going full speed ahead, or did they switch things up?
Well, after the insanity of Rain and Blood, they decided to slow things down a bit for their next album. They knew they couldn't top that intensity, so they went for a slightly more melodic approach.
Slayer doing melodic. Oh, that's a terrifying thought. The album was called South of Heaven. Did the fans riot?
It was a mixed bag. South of Heaven was actually their most commercially successful album at the time, went gold and all that. But the critics were confused, and some fans too. Some people loved it, some hated it. Even King himself called it his most lackluster performance. Yeah, even Slayer can't please everyone. They slow down, try some melody, and everyone loses their minds. But hey, they were still selling albums and touring the world, so they were obviously doing something right.
Oh, yeah. They were still one of the biggest names in metal, and South of Heaven proved they weren't afraid to experiment. But their next album, Seasons in the Abyss, took them in a whole new direction.
Okay, I'm intrigued. They go from breakneck speed to melodic, and then... Where did Seasons in the Abyss land on the Slayer spectrum of brutality?
They actually found a sweet spot. Seasons in the Abyss had that rain and blood speed, but kept some of those melodic elements they explored. It was their first album on Rubin's new label, Def American. It was a hit. Certified gold, they even made their first music video for the title track, filmed in front of the pyramids in Egypt.
Pyramids, thrash metal, Slayer. That's a combo I never thought I'd hear. Sounds like they're on fire. But you know there's got to be more drama coming, right? What happened after Seasons in the Abyss?
Well, their lineup went through some changes. In '91, they released a double live album, Decade of Aggression, but the next year, Lombardo left again.
Lombardo. Again, that dude was like a revolving door. Why'd he bail this time?
Couple of things. Conflicts with the other guys, plus he was about to become a dad. Needed a break from the chaos, wanted to focus on family.
Makes sense. Family first, even for a legendary drummer. So who'd they get to replace him? Someone who could handle the intensity of Slayer.
They recruited Paul Bostaph. He'd been playing with Forbidden. Made his debut with Slayer at the '92 Monsters of Rock Festival. He killed it.
Bostaph. Forbidden. Haven't heard those names in a while. Okay, Bostaff's end. They finished the tour. What's next for Slayer? Did they keep pushing boundaries or did they, chill out?
Chill out. Never. With Bostaph on drums, they released Divine Intervention in '94, and, surprise, surprise, it wasn't without its controversies.
Controversy. You don't say, seriously, what the hell did they do this time?
Well, Divine Intervention had songs about some pretty dark shit. Reinhard Heydrich, the Nazi official, Jeffrey Dahmer, the serial killer. Apparently, Araya was obsessed with serial killers. A lot of the lyrics were inspired by that.
Okay, that's pretty damn dark, even for Slayer. But hey, that's what the fans wanted, right? Were they still touring? Did they ever get any awards or anything for being so awesomely messed up?
Still hugely popular, Divine Intervention did great. They were even nominated for their first Grammy for the song Disciple, but lost out to Tool's Schism.
A Grammy nom for Slayer. That's wild. They're still touring, releasing music, shocking the world. What happened next?
Did they ever slow down?
They kept going, but the next few years were a whirlwind. Lineup changes, a controversial cover album, people even accused them of selling out.
Wait, Slayer selling out. Now I've heard everything. Okay, what the hell happened? What did they do to deserve that label?
Well, they released Undisputed Attitude in '96, an album of punk covers. Minor Threat, DRI, even the Stooges. Then Bostaph left to work on his own project, so they brought in John Dett from Testament. Another drummer. These guys were like a revolving door of drummers, but a punk cover album.
Yeah.
I gotta hear that. Did the critics think Slayer had gone soft?
Some of them did, yeah. Especially when Diabolus in Musica came out in '98. It had some nu metal elements, like detuned guitars. Some critics thought they were trying too hard to be trendy.
New metal Slayer. My brain just exploded. Did the fans think they'd sold out too?
Mixed bag. Some loved it, some hated it. But Slayer has always been about pushing boundaries, experimenting. It's not that surprising they'd try something different.
True, true. Always got to keep things interesting. So what happened next? Did they stick with the new metal, or did they go back to their roots?
Actually, Bostaph came back just in time for their next album, which was a major comeback for them. They went back to a more classic Slayer sound, but even angrier, even more aggressive.
A Slayer comeback album. I'm listening. What was it called? God Hates Us All. Damn. Did it live up to the hype?
Oh, hell yeah. God Hates Us All was released in 2001, and it was a masterpiece. Heavy, brutal, blasphemous lyrics. Pure Slayer.
Sounds like it. But 2001, that was the year of 9/11, right? Did that affect them at all?
Yeah, they were supposed to do a European tour with Pantera and a few other bands, but most of the bands canceled because of 9/11, travel disruptions, security concerns. Slayer and Cradle of Filth kept going, though.
Damn. Talk about dedication.
Yeah.
Touring Europe right after 9/11 with an album called God Hates Us All. Ballsy move. But didn't Bostaph leave again around this time? What was with the drummer drama?
He did, yeah. Before Christmas of 2001. Chronic elbow injury. Bummer. They needed a drummer, so guess who they called?
Don't tell me. Lombardo. That guy was like a boomerang.
Yep. He agreed to finish the European tour, and then he ended up staying again.
The prodigal drummer returns. Okay, so Lombardo's back. They're touring their asses off.
Yeah.
What was next for Slayer?
They rode that wave hard. The early 2000s were like a Slayer renaissance. They even did a tour in 2003 called Still Raining, where they played Rain and Blood in its entirety.
The whole album, live. That's insane. Rain and Blood is a 29-minute sonic exorcism. Didn't they, like, drench themselves in blood for that tour?
Oh yeah, they went all out. During Raining Blood, they had fake blood pouring down on them. Pure metal theatrics, a visual spectacle to match the music.
Dude, I would have killed to see that. Sounds like Slayer was still at the top of their game. But wait, didn't Lombardo ditch them again?
He did take another break, yeah, in 2013. Contract dispute. They brought back Bostaph, who's been great, but this time it was more than just a drummer change. Slayer suffered a huge loss.
You're talking about Jeff Hanneman. Man, that was a blow. Like losing a limb. What happened?
Hanneman had been battling health problems. In 2011, he got necrotizing fasciitis, a flesh-eating bacteria, probably from a spider bite, almost killed him.
Flesh-eating bacteria? Holy shit, that's some nightmare fuel. No wonder he had to step back.
Yeah, it was bad. Surgery, skin grafts, took him forever to recover. Gary Holt from Exodus filled in for him on tour, did an amazing job. But then in 2013, Hanneman passed away from liver failure.
Damn, that's just heartbreaking. Hanneman was a legend, one of the architects of Slayer's sound. Did they even consider continuing without him? You can't just replace a guy like that.
It was a rough time. There was talk of disbanding, but they decided to keep going. They released Relentless in 2015, their first album without Hanneman. It was a brutal tribute to him.
Relentless. Classic Slayer title. Did Holt stick around for the recording?
Yeah, Holt was a permanent member by then, played on the album, but he didn't write any of the music. They used material from previous sessions, some of it written by Hanneman, a way to honor him, keep his spirit alive.
So Slayer kept going, even after losing one of their founding members. Tough as nails, these guys. But wasn't there talk of them calling it quits a few years ago?
Yeah, in 2018, they announced a farewell tour. Been going strong for almost 40 years. Seemed like they were finally ready to hang it up.
A farewell tour. Did they say why? Just getting too old for this shit?
They never officially said why. Rumors that Araya had some health problems and was ready to retire from touring. After decades of headbanging and screaming, I can't blame him.
Yeah, touring takes a toll, especially when you're playing Slayer's music. But the end of Slayer, man, it felt like the end of an era.
It did. The farewell tour was huge, multiple continents, tons of other big metal bands. They went out with a bang.
So that was it. The end of Slayer. No more albums, no more tours, just a bunch of old metalheads reminiscing about the good old days.
For a while, yeah. But then, out of nowhere, they announced some reunion shows this year. Riot Fest, Louder Than Life, which got canceled because of Hurricane Helene. Talk about a buzzkill.
Wait, Slayer's back. What the fuck? I thought they were done. Did hell freeze over? Are they officially back, or is this just a temporary thing?
It's more of a one-off thing, at least for now. They also headlined Aftershock Festival in Sacramento, and they said that was their last show for now.
Farewell tour, reunion shows. I'm confused. Are they back or not?
Yeah.
And more importantly, are they going to release new music?
It's hard to say. There are rumors that Kerry King is working on new stuff with Boss Staff, but nothing concrete about a full Slayer reunion or a new album.
Yes, we'll have to wait and see. But one thing's for sure, Slayer's legacy is undeniable. They influenced tons of bands, sold millions of albums, piffed off a whole lot of people. They're the blueprint for extreme metal.
Absolutely. One of the most important and controversial bands in metal history. They never compromised, never played it safe, never gave a fuck what anyone thought. And that's why they're legends.
Real deal, man. No bullshit, just pure, unadulterated metal. So, to wrap this part up, they might be done touring for now, but their music will continue to fuck you up for generations to come.
And if you're brave enough, check out their music.
Yeah.
Be prepared to have your mind blown, your eardrums shattered, and your soul possibly damned. It's a wild ride.
Damn straight. Slayer forever, you sick fucks. Let's take a breather, grab a beer, and come back to ponder the million-dollar question. Was Slayer's career all an act, or were they truly the embodiment of metal's dark heart?
Oh, they rode that wave, man, hard. The early 2000s were a brutal renaissance for Slayer. They even did a tour in 2003 called Still Raining, where they played Rain in Blood in its entirety.
Hold the phone. The whole goddamn album. Live. That's fucking nuts, man. Rain in Blood is basically a 29-minute sonic exorcism. Didn't they, like, bathe in blood at the end or something?
Yeah, full-on bloodbath. During the last song, Raining Blood, fake blood just poured down on them. Pure metal theater.
Fuck, I would have paid good money to see that. Okay, so Slayer was still at the top of their game. But wait, didn't Lombardo bounce again? This guy was like a goddamn yo-yo, in and out, in and out.
He did, yeah. Left in 2013, some contract bullshit. Bostaph came back in, which was cool. He's solid. But this time, it was more than just the drummer. Slayer took a serious hit.
Hanneman, right? That was a tough one. The whole metal world felt that loss. What happened?
Hanneman had been dealing with health issues for a while. Back in 2011, he got this flesh-eating bacteria, necrotizing fasciitis.
Flesh-eating bacteria. Jesus Christ, that's some scary shit.
Yeah, probably from a spider bite. Almost killed him. Had to have surgery, skin grafts, the whole 9 yards. Gary Holt, the guitarist from Exodus, filled in for him on tour, did a great job. But then, in 2013, Hanneman passed away. Liver failure.
Man, that's just rough. Hanneman was a riff god. Did Slayer even think about continuing without him? That's a tough spot to be in.
For sure. There was talk of breaking up, but they decided to keep going. Released Relentless in 2015, their first album without Hanneman. A brutal tribute to the guy.
Relentless.
Oh!
Yeah, that's a Slayer album title for sure. Holt stuck around for the recording.
Yeah, Holt was a full-time member by then, played on the album, but he didn't write any of the songs. They used stuff from older sessions, some of it written by Hanneman. It felt like a good way to keep his presence in the music.
So Slayer kept going, even after losing one of their own. Respect, man. But weren't they talking about calling it quits a couple of years ago?
Yeah, they announced a farewell tour in 2018. Almost 40 years of Slayer, it made sense. Time to hang up the spikes, I guess.
Did they say why? Was it like a, we're too old for this shit kind of thing?
Never said officially. Rumor was that Araya had some health issues, wanted to stop touring after all those years of screaming and headbanging.
Yeah, it makes sense. Touring with Slayer's got to be brutal on the body.
Yeah.
But the end of Slayer, that's like the end of an era, you know?
It really was. The farewell tour was massive. Huge crowds, big-name bands, a proper send-off.
So that was it. End of story. Slayer rides off into the sunset.
You'd think, right. But then, this year, they announced some reunion shows. Riot Fest, Louder Than Life, which, by the way, got canceled. Fucking hurricane.
Wait, Slayer's backing? Seriously? What the fuck? I thought we were done with this. Are they actually back together or what?
It's more of a, we're just going to do a few shows kind of thing. They headlined Aftershock Festival in Sacramento, so that was the last one. For now, anyway.
Farewell tour, reunion shows? I'm so confused. Are they back or not?
Oh.
And more importantly, are we going to get new Slayer music? I need my fix, man.
Hard to say, man. There's chatter that Kerry King is working on new stuff with Bow Staff, but no official word on a new album or anything.
Man, that's a tease. I guess we gotta wait and see. But no matter what, Slayer's legacy is solid. They changed the game, influenced a ton of bands, pissed off a ton of people, the blueprint for extreme metal.
For sure. One of the most important metal bands, period. They did their own thing, didn't compromise. That's why they're legends.
No bullshit, just pure fucking metal. All right, so to wrap up this part of the deep dive, Slayer might be done touring for now, but their music, man, that shit's eternal.
And if you haven't heard it, do yourself a favor. It's intense, it's brutal, it might even scar you for life, but it's a hell of a ride.
Amen to that. Slayer forever, you sick bastards. Let's take a quick break, grab another beer, and then we'll try to answer the million-dollar question. Was Slayer's whole career a calculated act, or were they truly the demons they sang about? Okay, let's get back into this Slayer bloodbath. We've talked about their rise, their controversies, the lineup changes, the drama. But the big question still lingers. Was Slayer's whole shtick an act? Were they just a bunch of metalheads fucking with us? Or was there something truly dark going on beneath the surface?
It's the question, man, isn't it? All the blood, the Satan stuff, the lyrics about Nazis and serial killers. But there's this weird purity to their music, you know? They were just Slayer, loud, fast, aggressive, no bullshit.
Yeah, like a sonic punch in the face.
Yeah.
But were they actually evil dudes? Araya was a respiratory therapist, for fuck's sake, helping people breathe for a living.
Right, it's like, how evil can you be? I think it was
Yeah.
layers, man. They were playing with fire, pushing boundaries, all that. But they were also genuinely interested in the dark side of humanity. Araya and his serial killer shit, Hanneman in history, King and the occult.
So they weren't just trying to piss off their parents. There was actual substance to their music.
Oh, totally. They were smart guys, well-read. They just expressed it in a different way. They knew how to use imagery and symbolism to create this terrifying aesthetic.
And it worked. They tapped into this primal, unsettling thing that resonated with certain people. Their music. It's not just music, it's a fucking weapon. Makes you want to headbang, mosh, raise some hell.
It's cathartic, man. Releases that aggression and frustration we all have. And it's powerful. Slayer's music takes you to this other place. Darkness, chaos.
A sonic exorcism gets those demons out. And honestly, I think that's why they're still so relevant. They're not just a band, they're this phenomenon. They represent this raw, primal thing that'll never go away.
I agree. Slayer's music will keep inspiring and terrifying people forever. Their legacy, man, few bands can even touch it. They're the blueprint, the foundation for extreme metal.
So what's the final verdict?
Yeah.
Were they just assholes making noise to piss people off? Or were they more than that? What do people discovering Slayer for the first time need to know?
I think Slayer was this perfect storm of talent, aggression, and controversy. They pushed the boundaries, challenged everything, created the sound that was scary and exciting at the same time. One of the most important bands ever. Their music hits you hard.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Slayer might be gone, but their music, that shit's forever. So crank up the volume, bang your fucking heads, and let Slayer guide you to the dark side. That's the end of this deep dive, folks. Stay brutal, and we'll catch you next time.